Assalamualaikum and hello guys, welcome to Solvesphere. Today I've got a topical question of chapter industries from 2059 paper 2. I'm gonna start a series of questions from different various topics. Today my topic is industry. Let's start this question. It's a question from November 2014. Let's start solving it. Explain what is meant by each of the following terms and choose one example of each from the given list. Now you have to define this word which is written and then give an example and which you have to select from these. So let's start. The basic definition of a raw material is that it is a basic commodity. It is a basic commodity from which finished goods are made. Now, goods are made. We have done it. Now you need to choose an example. Just remember the concept. That what are raw materials in the list. It's just coal and limestone, because coal is used in power generation and limestone is used in various sectors. It is used in steel making and various other industries, so you can write any one of them. I'm gonna write coal. Now let's check what is a waste material. Let's go to the basic definition. It is an unwanted wanted material. An example is slag. Slag is basically the waste product that is formed in any industry, so we're gonna write slag. Now value added material, you're gonna get a better concept of it when we study trade, because a value added material increases the price of a product because something additional has been added to it. For example, cotton. If a garment has been made, it's more expensive than a cotton yarn because value has been added through further processing of the object. So let's write its definition. A product, an addition that increases the value of product. Now let's write an example that increases the value of product. An example would be steel or coke. You can write any one of them. I'm gonna write steel. So this was our first question. We just wrote the definitions and the examples. Let's move on to part B of this question. Name the creek X and port Y. Now this figure is, we have already seen it many times. The X creek is Ghadu Creek and the port Y is Port Qasim. Name a sea to the south. Now when Port Qasim is discussed, it's pretty obvious that the sea would be Arabian Sea. We're gonna write Arabian Sea. So using figure 2 and your own knowledge, state 3 factors that makes the site suitable. Now in this question you have to relate your question to the photograph. You have to answer through what you are seeing in the photograph. So let's see. I can see that there's a port nearby, Port Qasim. So I can state one factor, that it's near a port, it's near a coastal site or a port, coastal site or port. What's the advantage of it? We know that most of our inputs involved in the steel mill are usually imported, so it's gonna save our transportation cost, as the After being imported, they can be quickly transported. Thus, the price of the product would eventually decrease. It will save our transportation cost, thus reducing price of product. The next factor which we can see is that there is a rail network, mainline Karachi to Kotri as well as road, which means that transport facilities are available. So I can state that the rail and road facilities, transport, I mean, both are available. Now what's gonna be the advantage of it? The advantage is gonna be that the industry can easily circulate its products, which would facilitate trade and eventually increase its production, I mean the sale of the products. So we can write that the industry can transport their products through these, facilitating trade. Now what is going to be my third factor? Let's have a look. What can I look for the third factor? I can see that there is a site for township near Karachi. I can write the third factor as site for township. अब इससे फ़ायदा क्या होगा? What would be the advantage? The laborers who have migrated could easily be accommodated. Let's move on to part C. Explain why the Pakistan steel mills is an industry in formal sector. So first you need to understand this is an explain question of 4 mark, in which you have to just enlist 2 marks, and remember development is required in this question because 1 mark is for reasoning the correct statement and the other mark is for development. So it's just simply asking you what the formal sector is. You have to relate it with Pakistan steel mills. I'm just gonna write the points, bullets. We can write that Pakistan steel mills is a registered industry. Thus, it is legal because it pays taxes to the government and has government permission. Thus, legal and pays taxes. The second point, and I'm just writing the points, you have to explain them, and pays taxes. Now let's move on to the second factor. In Pakistan steel mills, there are regular working hours, hours as well as wages, which make or show that it is a formal sector. To what extent can work in the informal sector improve the lives of those living in urban areas? It's a 6-mark question and you have to understand how to solve it. To what extent means that you have to first write the factors. That, for example, in this question you have to write the possibilities, then you have to in the end write that what are the difficulties in it. I would just write a suggested answer. I would write it in form of bullet points, and remember that you have to give examples in this question. Just see how I write possibilities. You have to write that it provides employment to the people as the population in cities is very high. Provides unemployed jobs as urban centers are overpopulated. Now you can give an example of which city. Any city. Karachi, Lahore. I would give the example of, for example, Karachi. The second factor you can write is that it makes the availability of goods. For example, you can write that so let's write it. It would ensure availability of goods in the urban centers. Another point that I can write is that it would provide them a source of it. It would provide them a chance to use their traditional skills. Provide them a chance to use their traditional skills to earn a living. Now you have to write that what are the disadvantages of such informal sectors. You have to just write in general that there are no regular incomes, and an important point is that if many informal sectors would be set up, in urban areas, rural-urban migration would increase, which would lead to further several crimes, for example thefts, or you can write that cities would become overpopulated further, which would create a pressure on these resources. You can write. So this was our today's lesson. I hope that you understand the questions well and you were able to know how to answer such questions. Thank you very much. Give Allah Hafiz.